This is the Professional Edge. My name's Todd, tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner. And let's talk about protecting your assets. But before we get started, remember we made that annual New Year's resolution to get our estate plan in force and in effect. Half of our listeners, unfortunately, do not have any estate plan in force and effect. So therefore, the great place to start is going to our website at emcadvisors.com. That is emcadvisors.com. And on the right-hand side, you're going to see the Ultimate Estate Planning Guide button. It's a red button. Go ahead and fill that information in, and we will be glad to send that to you. We will even cover shipping and handling for you. That gets the conversation started, especially if how are you going to leave your assets to the beneficiaries that you choose? What it is, the right amount at the right time. We surely don't want a 18-year-old to receive $100,000. We know that's a recipe for disaster. And who actually might be the trustee over the funds that you leave for your grandchildren for their education? Those are great conversation starters. So again, visit our website at emcadvisors.com. That is EMC Echo Mary Charlie Advisors.com. But let's turn to protecting your assets. And when we think about this, we think about individuals that have large sums of money, Bill Gates, Sergey Brin of Google. No, we're talking about our average listener here on the Professional Edge, because you've worked hard, you've worked your 30 years, and what we mean by asset protection may not necessarily be from lawsuit protection. Asset protection would be, for example, in your portfolio, what have you actually done to take some risk off the table? We've had a change in administration. We have the $1.9 trillion, not billion, trillion dollar package that's coming out. That is on top of the first economic stimulus that came out during COVID over a year ago. So now we need to protect our assets, meaning have you objectively identified or reviewed the risk within your portfolio? That's the same as doing exercises to understand what your risk is. That's number one. And number two, are there things that you can do to actually protect your assets, or are you subject to the whims of the market? And a lot of individuals, unfortunately, start to take a lot of risk as the market continues to rise. They see Tesla going up, they see the Bitcoin going up, they see GameStop going through the roof and then falling to half its value. It went to almost $500 a share, and that's back down to $200 a share. And that might be where it stays, but before all the melee in GameStop, it was a $20 stock. So when you look at protecting your assets, you have to basically secure enough money to fund your retirement for the next 20 years. We're the first generation that is doing that and have to plan for that. So even though you are planning to work to age 65, 66, you have to have an effective financial plan that you will not run out of money before you run out of time. So again, what we do at Estate Management Counselors is we have a free consultation, and we sit down, gather the information, and a lot of you might have 401ks at old companies. We change jobs a lot now compared to 30 years in and get a pension coming out. So we have multiple 401ks that are not coordinated. You haven't looked at it. So this is a wake-up call to start that planning process, because your safe and secure retirement is your responsibility. It's not Social Security, it's not the government, it is your responsibility to save enough for retirement. So we give you a list of documents to bring in. We sit down, we identify what you're trying to accomplish and see if you're on track. Then we identify where your exposure is to unnecessary risk, and you may have a lot of capital. For example, you're holding too much cash. So holding too much cash is actually going backwards safely, because we know the interest rate on your cash savings is less than 0.5%, and therefore you are actually losing purchasing power safely. So again, how do you protect your assets? Protecting your assets is to make sure that they stay with the cost of inflation. So therefore, we identify what might be a suitable recommendation for you. Well, actually, it's not suitable. It's in your best interest. Being a registered investment advisor, we have a fiduciary duty to our clients to act in their best interest at all times. So that's another way that we look to protect your assets is we run the analysis. Sometimes it's just a retirement income projection, which takes you out to age 90, 95. Make sure that your assets are going to be okay. And then we also then look and see, is there a reallocation within the portfolio that is necessary to sustain that distribution for the time in which you retire. So again, that's sort of the analysis that we have that we do to protect your assets. So it's not just the liability protection, it is to make sure that your investments are working hard for you and you not working hard for your capital. So if you're liking what you're hearing and you want to explore this a little further, give our office a call at 877-654-9798. That number again, 877-654-9798. So turn into asset protection. Let's think about this for a second. You have an IRA account and you've rolled that over from a 401k. You're working with a 1-800 firm, and lo and behold, they're going to help you roll that over and get it started. The account's open. Bam, it's over there. But no one addresses the beneficiary designation, and we've talked about this multiple times here on the Professional Edge. That is not necessarily the best way to structure that IRA beneficiary, because if it's blank, then the default's going to become the estate of the IRA account holder. Well, to protect your assets, we want to not pay the IRS any more than we absolutely have to. But by missing that beneficiary designation, then we basically light the tax time bomb, and we have to distribute that out within 5 years date of death. We don't have a stretch option, or we don't even have a spousal rollover option. So right there, we just blew that IRA up, meaning we have to pass it through the tax machine and remit the taxes to the Internal Revenue Service in a timely manner, and we only can forestall the payment of taxes for 5 years. Now, consider the difference on protecting the assets. So we've lost that capital that we paid to the IRS. Let's change that, and let's have the proper designation on that IRA. And therefore, when the spouse passes away, the owner of the IRA account passes away. They've named their spouse, so they have a proper beneficiary designation on that account. Well, they can roll that over, and let's say there's an unfortunate early death and the person was 50 years of age. We surely would not want to have that IRA being forced distributed in 5 years date of death of the account holder because they were trying to be cheap, working with a 1-800 firm and not doing the complete plan and paying attention to detail, because the spouse, if she was the same age of 50 years of age, she could have rolled that over into her IRA account and therefore not have any required minimum distributions until age 72. So we have 22 years of tax deferral that we lost because we didn't do the beneficiary designation right. Now, you say, okay, how is that asset protection? Well, it's because we are making sure the plan is correct, the beneficiary designations are correct, and we don't pay the IRS in 5 years, date of death. We make sure that that spouse can roll it over, and that's protecting those assets so that way they stay on the balance sheet of the new surviving spouse, and that way those tax dollars have the ability to earn a rate of return. Now that simple calculation right there, think about that. 22 years of those tax dollars are no longer available to the account holder to earn a rate of return. Simple math, $50,000 in tax liability, that's pretty low. Let's say it's a $400,000 IRA, you're going to pay roughly 25%. That's $100,000. $100,000 earning 10% is going to double in 7.2 years. So we have three of those approximately. So we're going to have 100, 200, 400. So just that right there, by doing that incorrectly, is going to be surely a $400,000 mistake on not protecting your assets correctly. So again, this is the type of planning, being a tax attorney, a CPA, and a certified financial planner, that we do at Estate Management Counselors. And to start that conversation, give our office a call at 877-654-9798. That number again, 877-654-9798. So back to that IRA, we also can designate a next generation. Now, the rules have changed a little bit. We can't have a long stretch IRA for an inherited IRA. We have 10 years date of death, which is fine, but at least we still have 10 more years of tax deferral on the payment of those taxes. That's incredible. So again, just looking at the IRA beneficiary designation, also on a 401k or 403b, even a Roth IRA, we got to make sure that they are taken into account. Now, 95% of our listeners here in the Professional Edge will have named their spouse as the primary beneficiary. Now, is that protecting your assets? Let's step forward just a little bit, and we name our spouse to keep our happy marriage. But think about this. We are living a lot longer. If there's an early passing, then there is a high likelihood that that surviving spouse is going to remarry. Now, when we put that forward, they call or contact the new spouse's broker or 1-800-FIRM, and they say, all right, we're going to open up this new account for that person, and lo and behold, they by default name the spouse as the primary beneficiary. So let's think about this. Husband one died, wife is surviving, and wife gets remarried to husband number two. They move the accounts, and lo and behold, husband two, the spouse, is named as a primary beneficiary. So when we protect our assets, that surviving spouse, the wife, she passes away. Well, who's the primary beneficiary on husband one's IRA account? Well, lo and behold, husband number two is. So he would inherit those funds. There's no requirement that husband number two would ever have to give any of that money to the children of husband one and wife one. I know it's hard to follow when we're listening to this, but basically it's going to go to the new spouse's estate. I'm not sure that's what you want or are inclined to do. You don't want to leave that to chance. Well, by leaving that to your spouse on the primary beneficiary, then they are going to roll that over, and now they can name a primary beneficiary on their IRA to the new spouse. So if that's of concern to you and most of our listeners here on the Professional Edge, their 401k, their IRA is their largest financial asset that they have absent their home. So protecting that to make sure that the family that actually earned that IRA 401k is actually going to receive it is asset protection. We want to make sure that that goes to the right beneficiary at the right time. Now, we always want to protect the surviving spouse, and we can do that, but by having a designated beneficiary trust as being the primary beneficiary on your IRA account, not just a simple name on a line, but actually a legal trust being the beneficiary designation, then we can accomplish that objective and have that go to the surviving spouse, let them use it, and then once the surviving spouse, even if they remarried, passes away, it's going to go back to the original family's heirs. So if that's of interest to you, give our office a call at 877-654-9798. Again, 877-654-9798. Appreciate you listening to the Professional Edge. My name's Todd, tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner.
With today's financial markets, are you getting the personal and professional attention you and your money deserve? Clients of estate management counselors benefit from having one set of professionals advise them on their tax, estate planning, and investment advice. We call that the professional edge. Todd is a tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner. With over 15 years' experience, he welcomes the opportunity to assist you in preparing for retirement, implement effective tax planning strategies, and to help you properly plan your estate. His radio show, The Professional Edge, is aired weekly on Sundays at 9 a.m. If you're interested in meeting with Scene, call his office at 877-654-9798. That's 877-654-9798. Do you want to feel more confident about making the right investment, tax, and estate planning decisions? Today, these decisions are more complex than ever. Have you thought about working with a professional advisor and not sure who to turn to? Not sure what qualifies one to be an advisor? Todd is more than qualified as a tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner. Scene is with Estate Management Counselors. Estate Management Counselors operates as an independent fee-only investment advisory firm. They're dedicated to gaining a personal understanding of their clients' objectives and implementing professional counsel and advice to achieve those objectives. So take a second to talk with Todd to learn how you can benefit from their multidisciplinary practice where they coordinate their clients' legal, tax, and investment strategies into one comprehensive and integrated plan to enhance and protect their clients' financial security. You can reach estate management counselors and speak with Todd by calling 1-877-654-9798. That's 1-877-654-9798.